And I am not alone. I am with Robert Chirabo in studio, but also in news around the world, to a bit of comic posts from Donald Trump, His Excellency Donald Trump, who posted a picture of himself as the Pope. And then, of course, to the trial of Shin Diddy Combs, which is starting today in New York. Good morning, Uganda, once again. Thank you so much for joining UBC TV as you choose for us to inspire you. Good morning, Robert.
A very good morning to you and, of course, our viewer. Thank you so much for waking up with us and choosing us to start your week. Now, let me begin with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has extended his trade war further by slapping 100% tariff on movies produced outside United States of America. I don't know where this is going to end. I remember him talk about making America great again, but I think this may, in one way or the other, bite stronger when it comes to Americans. Because for sure, you've almost slapped tariffs on everything. Now, 100% on movies outside, you're looking at Bollywood, Nollywood, and of course, Yuga would aren't that so much there. But you know, I feel, yes, is this going to be the solution for American people? Because if you're going to watch a movie now that is not produced in the United States of America, then it's going to be very expensive. Yes, one would say you're protecting your industry, that someone will not go for something that is expensive, yet there's a substitute. But now when you go to the cinema world, in case some movie is hot, believe you me, it's trending everywhere. You'll have to pay that price to watch that movie.
So for a movie that we could ideally pay maybe 30,000 to watch at the cinema, we could find ourselves paying 50 or 60,000 to watch a movie at the cinema. And as I know Ugandan culture, when things get that tough, Ugandans always drop the ball and wait for when the movie is freely available on sites like Gojara.
But also Ugandans, and I know people in America, are very used to price may not mean much to them, but quality.
Quality, yes.
And of course, even today in Uganda, having that class of people that would prefer quality over cost. But coming back home, you talked about the sudden death of Rajiv Ruparelia. I must say, I didn't have any person that I can talk about him, apart from knowing from our colleagues in the journalism fraternity, many who praised him of being a very generous young man. And in case you had any deal, you know, media deals, and you were lucky you came across Rajiv, you'd go home clapping and very happy. He was very generous. But I want to talk about that particular sport, the Busabala traffic lights. I usually use that route when I'm leaving the place. I want to go to Entebbe. I want to call upon government and the various contractors that we have. First, I don't know for whatever reason, when I first saw that Busabala, I want to call it Busabala roundabout in that state. I think it has taken over 5 years. Where those bulkheads are put, you're diverted, then tomorrow you come, it is open. Now we are told this is a young man who has not been around for some time. And by the time he left, because remember that removed those bulkheads some time back, and you could move through. You could fly. I love speed. When I'm on my bike, I love speed. I must confess. And when I'm on the express, I want to fly. Now, one time they removed those bulkheads. And I remember recently the president was using that side. So they had removed it. It was an open thing. You fly through. Now, all of a sudden, they put them back. And when they put them back, they have not notified. There aren't any signs now. If you left Uganda a month ago, that place was open. You could just fly through. All of a sudden, they bring back those bulkheads and place them there. Now, on an express highway, a one-way moreover, at that time, you don't expect anybody. Maybe a dog. But you know, 2 a.m., you have the lane to yourself. And if you have a very fast machine, why not enjoy the hard work of your sweat and fly as you want? Now, that is the danger that we saw. Road constructors, and I remember also some time back, we lost a biker because of bulkheads in Hoima. We passed in a corner, it was clear. Coming back, they had put those cement things. And our brother Sammy could not, remember that Rasta who was trading so much on social media? He couldn't make it. If that thing wasn't there, he would be alive today. So contractors, I think there's so much deal-darling, there's so much unseriousness. Moreover, last time, the Honorable Prime Minister was very tough on them. Remember, said if you can't do your work, go and we get people who can work.
And in any case, if there are barricades, if they're removed or in place, it's also important to have signages that show that the barricades are now in place, so drivers should be careful. But there was no signage whatsoever.
And I don't know, why do we have those concrete made? Because they're plastic ones. Is it because Ugandans can take them for other purposes?
Possibly so, there's that too.
Because many countries use the plastic ones, that even if you ram into them, yes, you may have an accident, but not that severe as those concrete ones.
Sad indeed, so sad indeed. May Rajiv's soul rest in eternal peace. But looking at matters that are transpiring this week, the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has called on all NRM members across the country to turn up at their respective village centers tomorrow by 10 a.m. on Tuesday, which is 6th May 2025. And that is for the verification of party registers and election of LC1 flag bearers and the grassroots structures. Now, we'll share more about that as the show goes on, but at least if you're a part of NRM and you are very active with the party structures and you're considering to be elected as the LC1 chairperson of your village, please do consider to be actively part of this tomorrow, 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. On that note, Robert, take us away with what's on the local scene.
Well, for those standing, I think their nomination was already done. It ended the last week. Yes, but for the voting, definitely be there.
Yes.
Now, we begin with the Speaker of Parliament. That is the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, declared that she will stand for the position of second Vice National NRM Chairperson female on the NRM Central Executive Committee. This follows her endorsement by all NRM chairpersons of Eastern Region. She was at the fundraising for Women Circle groups in Palisa district organized by Gogonyo Sub-County Legislator Onre Derrick. The Prime Minister of Uganda, Robin Nabbanja, directed the Mbarara District Chief Executive Officer, Chief Administrative Officer, to build a market for the women of Bunzirela in Mbarara. Nabbanja made the directive during the belated Women's Day celebrations from Mbarara District at Bubare Sub-County in Kashari County, Mbarara District. Now over to World Press Day. Journalists are concerned over their safety, constitutional rights as they commemorated World Press Day. Despite facing threats and lack of formal status as the Fourth Estate, they remain united across different ideologies. Officials praise their solidarity while call for louder on security forces to uphold press freedom enshrined in Article 29, Clause 1A of Uganda's Constitution. And as we come to the end of our local stories, State Minister for Lands, Dr. Sam Mayanja, called upon religious leaders to use creative approaches such as singing and theoretical performances in nurturing children. Speaking at a Caring Heart School presentation at the National Theatre in Kampala, Dr. Mayanja praised the initiative for blending education with spiritual growth. And that brings us to the end of our local stories this morning.
And moving on to what's in the world of the foreign affairs, U.S. President Donald Trump has denied that he is considering a third presidential term, a move which experts agree is banned under the U.S. Constitution. I'll be an 8-year president. I'll be a 2-term president. I always thought that was very important. Trump told NBC's Meet the Press with Kristen Walker. In an interview that aired on Sunday, Trump, who is now 78 years, has previously said that he was not joking about wanting to serve a third term or even a fourth term as U.S. president. He later said his statements were meant to troll the fake news media. His company, the Trump Organization, has been selling Trump 2028 hats, fueling armchair speculation that he may seek to remain in office after his second term ends in January 2029. In the interview recorded from his residence in Florida on Friday, Trump said that he has had many requests from the people asking that he could consider seeking to remain in office. Well, moving on to Brazil, Brazilian police said they thwarted a bomb attack planned for Lady Gaga's concert on Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro on Saturday. The civil police of Rio de Janeiro state, in coordination with the Justice Ministry, said suspects had recruited participants to carry out attacks using improvised explosives, and the plan was aimed at gaining notoriety on social media. The person responsible for the plan and a teenager were arrested. The police said Lady Gaga's team said they learned about the bomb threat only from media reports the morning after the gig. A crowd of more than 2 million people gathered for the concert, which was free to attend. Police said that the group that planned the attack had been spreading hate speech mainly against children, adolescents, and the LGBTQ+ community. The alleged mastermind was arrested for illegal possession of a firearm in the southern state of Rio Grande do Sul, while the teenager was detained for storing child pornography in Rio. Now, coming to Africa and matters that are quite common to Africa, polygamy and pageantry on display at a mass wedding in South Africa. The bride, Evelyn Sekagalkane, sparkled in white as she walked down the aisle hand in hand with Shirley Molala, who was about to become her sister wife, at a mass wedding celebration at a South African church that encourages polygamy. Behind them came the groom, Lesiba Molala, who was marrying another wife at the elaborate ceremony at the International Pentecostal Holiness Church, southwest of Johannesburg. The polygamous bridal party was among 55 marriages that took place there on Easter Sunday. A loud, long, joyous occasion. Only 7 of the unions were welcoming an extra wife to the family, but all were open to doing so in the future. He is a God who approves of polygamy, rang out repeatedly across the packed auditorium. Polygamy is the practice of having more than one spouse at the same time. Shirley, who is Mr. Molala's second wife and has been married to him for 25 years, told me ahead of the big day, "I love polygamy because it is rooted in biblical teaching and is a reference to passages in the Old Testament of the Bible." Wow! Africa can sometimes tend to be interesting, but as you refer to the Old Testament, remember there's the New Testament that has the grace of Jesus Christ that discourages polygamy, in case you believe in the Bible, that is. What's in the press, Robert?
Well, Rajiv takes most of the headlines in our dailies here in Uganda. Today, looking at the New Vision, we have Rajiv's last moments. And of course, a picture of Rajiv there, and of course they show you how the car there looked after that accident. Still, the New Vision, no permit renewal for those who do not pay. What is that? Those who do not pay. New express traffic fine scheme to start. Traffic offenders, there you go. And we have Uganda Scientist Scoops Award. Picture of our scientist there. Which award? Well, NRM to elect LC1 flag bearers, Museveni rallies members. And Justice Mugambe's sentence, what the UK judge said. Still, the New Vision, top of the column there, there are jobs for you, and so much regarding lifestyle there. Now that is in the New Vision. A quick one through the Daily Monitor this morning. a picture of Rajiv smiling. Friends, associates realize Rajiv ahead of crimination. And still now the monitor comes in, but opposition won't even breathe. Now, what is that the opposition is talking about, that the lizard is referring to? It is right here. Queries as cabinet, parliament, close for NRM elections. Remember, there's no cabinet today. And yes, also parliament won't to enable this great activity take place. Then more than 200 jobs up for grab at they're giving you. Which places are those? And we have something, the revelation last week that Robert Chagulanyi's bodyguard Eddie Mutwe, right there, who had gone missing for weeks, was in the hands of the military. There is so much regarding Eddie Mutwe there. And allow me now leave Uganda and fly outside and read the Citizen. Here we have lenders ushering 2025 with earnings bonanza. Now, who are those? Some picture there and details of that. Arusha tipped on rival Kigali in conference tourism. And we have Tanzania, Cuba signed malaria control fertilizer pact. What is in that? Well, you can only know fertilizer pact, malaria control. And yet to be extracted helium is already changing lives. How is it doing it? There is so much you'll get there. Now, a quick one. I go to the Daily Nation, where we see scandal of 22 billion youth project. Okay, issues of money. Raila camps diversions play out in Ruto tour. And you have Gachagawa hosts Karonzo, Matiang's and Karua. Now, still that is politics in our neighboring country. And we still have couples night out, bathtub murder, and attempt to bribe pathologist. Well, these and more when you get yourself any of the dailies that we've discussed.
Well, looking at the Gazette as of 2nd May 2025, the contents in there is the Marriage Act notice, the Mining and Minerals Act notice, the Education Pre-Primary, Primary and Post-Primary notices, the Water Act notice, the Commissioner for Oaths Advocates Act notice, the Advocates Act notices, Companies Act notices, the Insolvency Act notices, the Industrial Property Act notices, Police Control of Private Security Organizations, the Trademarks Act registration of applications notices, and there are Bill numbers 15, the Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment, Bill 2025, Statutory Instruments number 44, the Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Money Lenders Non-Deposit Taking Microfinance Institutions Amendment Regulations 2025, the Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Money Lenders SACCO Amendment Regulations 2025, the Tier 4 Microfinance Institution and Money Lenders Amendment Regulations 2025, and a notice for the places of celebration of marriage that confirms the Church Family Peace Fellowship Church, which is of born-again denomination in Jambula Zone A, and parish is in Bugolobi, Nakawa Division in Nakawa County, District Kampala, given under the hand of Honorable Norbert Mao as of 16th April 2025, and the Mining and Minerals Act's notice of grant of an exploration license that has been notified by the Honorable Dr. Ruth Nankabirwa Sentamu, confirming the exploration license EL 00532, registered as number 003522, that was granted in accordance with the provisions of Section 43 and 47 to Devki Steel Mills Uganda Limited, PO Box 300627, Tororo, for a period of 4 years effective 31st March 2025. And another notice of grant of an exploration license notified by Honorable Dr. Ruth Nankabirwa Sentamu of exploration license number EL00529, registered as number 003520, that was granted in accordance with the provisions of the sections 43 and section 47 to Devki Steel Mills Uganda Limited, PO Box 300627, Tororo, for a period of 4 years, effective 28th March. That's it with the Gazette. Good morning, Uganda. When we get back, we shall be talking about the press index report that was released. That is the report of 2024. That was released on Friday as the world commemorated World Press Freedom Day. For now, do enjoy some music from Arab boy Uko Nami. Good morning, Uganda.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Not notified. There aren't any signs now. If you left Uganda a month ago, that place was open. You could just fly through. All of a sudden, they bring back those bulkheads and place them there. Now, on an express highway, a one-way moreover, at that time, you don't expect anybody. Maybe a dog. But you know, 2 a.m., you have the lane to yourself. And if you have a very fast machine, why not enjoy the hard work of your sweat and fly as you want? Now, that is the danger that we saw. Road constructors, and I remember also some time back, we lost a biker because of bulkheads in Hoima. We passed in a corner, it was clear. Coming back, they had put those cement things. And our brother Sammy could not. Remember that Rasta who was trading so much on social media? He couldn't make it. If that thing wasn't there, he would be alive today. So contractors, I think there's so much deal-darling. There's so much unseriousness. Moreover, last time, the Honorable Prime Minister was very tough on them. Remember, said if you can't do your work, go and we get people who can work.
And in any case, if there are barricades, if they're removed in place, it's also important to have signages that show that the barricades are now in place, so drivers should be careful. But there was no signage whatsoever.
And I don't know, why do we have those concrete made? Because they're plastic ones. Is it because Ugandans can take them for other purposes?
Possibly so, there's that too.
Because many countries use the plastic ones, that even if you ram into them, yes, you may have an accident, but not that severe as those concrete ones.
Sad indeed, so sad indeed. May Rajiv's soul rest in eternal peace. But looking at matters that are transpiring this week, the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has called on all NRM members across the country to turn up at their respective village centers tomorrow by 10 a.m. on Tuesday, which is 6th May 2025. And that is for the verification of party registers and election of LC1 flag bearers and the grassroots structures. Now, we'll share more about that as the show goes on, but at least if you're a part of NRM and you are very active with the party structures and you're considering to be elected as the LC1 chairperson of your village, please do consider to be actively part of this tomorrow, 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. On that note, Robert, take us away with what's on the local scene.
Well, for those standing, I think their nomination was already done. It ended the last week. Yes, but for the voting, definitely be there.
Yes.
Now, we begin with the Speaker of Parliament. That is the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, declared that she will stand for the position of second Vice National NRM Chairperson female on the NRM Central Executive Committee. This follows her endorsement by all NRM chairpersons of Eastern Region. She was at the fundraising for Women Circle groups in Palisa district organized by Gogonyo Sub-County Legislator Onre Derrick. The Prime Minister of Uganda, Robin Anabanja, directed the Mbarara District Chief Executive Officer, Chief Administrative Officer, to build a market for the women of Bunzirela in Mbarara. Nabanja made the directive during the belated Women's Day celebrations from Mbarara district at Bubare sub-county in Kashari County, Mbarara district. Now over to World Press Day. Journalists are concerned over their safety, constitutional rights as they commemorated World Press Day. Despite facing threats and lack of formal status as the Fourth Estate, they remain united across different ideologies. Officials praise their solidarity while call for louder on security forces to uphold press freedom enshrined in Article 29, Clause 1A of Uganda's Constitution. And as we come to the end of our local stories, State Minister for Lands, Dr. Sam Mayanja, called upon religious leaders to use creative approaches such as singing and theoretical performances in nurturing children. Speaking at a Caring Heart School presentation at the National Theatre in Kampala, Dr. Mayanja praised the initiative for blending education with spiritual growth. And that brings us to the end of our local stories this morning.
And moving on to what's in the world of the foreign affairs, U.S. President Donald Trump has denied that he is considering a third presidential term, a move which experts agree is banned under the U.S. Constitution. I'll be an 8-year president. I'll be a 2-term president. I always thought that was very important, Trump told NBC's Meet the Press with Kristen Walker in an interview that aired on Sunday. Trump, who is now 78 years, has previously said that he was not joking about wanting to serve a third term or even a 4th term as U.S. president. He later said his statements were meant to troll the fake news media. His company, the Trump Organization, has been selling Trump 2028 hats, fueling armchair speculation that he may seek to remain in office after his 2nd term ends in January 2029. In the interview, recorded from his residence in Florida on Friday, Trump said that he has had many requests from the people asking that he could consider seeking to remain in office. Well, moving on to Brazil, Brazilian police said they thwarted a bomb attack planned for Lady Gaga's concert on Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro on Saturday. The civil police of Rio de Janeiro state, in coordination with the Justice Ministry, said suspects had recruited participants to carry out attacks using improvised explosives, and the plan was aimed at gaining notoriety on social media. The person responsible for the plan and a teenager were arrested. The police said Lady Gaga's team said they learned about the bomb threat only from media reports the morning after the gig. A crowd of more than 2 million people gathered for the concert, which was free to attend. Police said that the group that planned the attack had been spreading hate speech mainly against children, adolescents, and the LGBTQ+ community. The alleged mastermind was arrested for illegal possession of a firearm in the southern state of Rio Grande do Sul, while the teenager was detained for storing child pornography in Rio. Now, coming to Africa and matters that are quite common to Africa, polygamy and pageantry on display at a mass wedding in South Africa.
The Baraza, as a village electoral college for electing party leadership structures and LC1 flag bearers. So the village assembly will now elect, although they have used the word electoral college here, actually it will be direct elections, because everybody will vote. It will be one person, one vote. Voting will take place by lining up behind your preferred candidates or their portraits. Their portraits. Please note that proxy voting is not permitted. You cannot have someone else vote on your behalf. You must be present to vote in person. I urge all the Bazukuru and NRM leaders to actively participate in the barazas within their villages. All NRM members should arrive at their village centers by 10 a.m. on May 6, 2025 to engage in these activities, which would take place from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. saa 4 za asubuhi mpaka saa 8 mchana. Further details will be provided by the NRM Electoral Commission. I will personally be in Rwakitura village, where Mama will attend in Ntungamo, Irenga, to assist in verifying our respective NRM village registers. And in order to facilitate this, I cancelled the cabinet meeting of tomorrow, and I agreed with the Speaker also to postpone the Parliament of Tuesday, parliamentary sitting. Thank you, and I wish you all good luck.
Well, that is His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni notifying you to whom it may concern that on 6th May, which is tomorrow, there is the NRM internal party structure elections, and there was a press release as well dated 3rd May 2025. His Excellency the President's statement on verification of NRM members and election of LC1 party flag bearers. Fellow Ugandans, especially the Bazukulu, greetings, congratulations to all Ugandans on the successful celebrations of the Labor Day in Nakapiripirit. I felt very sorry for the Nshonyinches and the Kagwensonyis, that is translation to other languages, that minimize or dismiss the achievements of the NRM to go to the distant Nakapiripirit, Moroto, etc. And you see the brand new tarmac roads, the electricity power lines, the ubiquitous telephone masts, the peace and the factories that are coming up is very pleasing for the serious patriots. You then remember that Uganda is now connected by tarmac roads from South Sudan border in Kitgum, Nimule and Oraba, in the Acholi and West Nile regions, to the borders of Tanzania, Mutukula, Rwanda, Mirama Hills, Katuna, and Chanika, and the Congo border, Bunagana, and from the Kenya border, Ruakaka, Malaba, Busia, to the Congo border, Mpondwe, Busunga, Kaisotonya, in Kasese, Bundibujo, and Hoima districts. Owing to bad planning in UNRA and the Ministry of Works, some of that network were allowed to deteriorate without immediate repairs and reconstruction. That is how the section from Mitiana to Fort Porto is in bad shape, and so is the section from Mokono to Jinja. That mistake is being corrected. Nevertheless, there are alternative routes to those destinations, albeit without longer distances. I really felt very sorry for the Nshonyinches seeing the Kampala elite zooming at high speed on the brand new Karamoja roads. Kindly see the pictures of sections on that road. If you are on X, the pictures were posted on there. Further good news, the South Sudan Army of our brother people of South Sudan, supported by the UPDF Expeditionary Force, has completely and quickly defeated the insurgents that had invaded the country, capturing a town known as Nasir and threatening other centers. I congratulate the CDF and the entire UPDF on the resurrecting of UPDF lethality in combat and fighting corruption. In Congo, the UPDF has defeated the ADF with the support of the Congo Army and tamed the Secretarian CODECO that was targeting some of other communities in Ituri and collaborating with ADF. This is all good news. Finally, I'm alerting and requesting all NRM members to go to the village centers in their respective local areas by 10 a.m. on Tuesday, the 6th of May, 2025, to do two things. Take part in the baraza that will verify the members of the NRM that have been registered in the NRM registers. Take part in the elections of the NRM LC1 flag bearer for LC1 chairmanship, and also elect the village NRM structures. The two activities, register verification and electing LC1 NRM flag bearers and the NRM structures, should strictly take place between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The NRM Electoral Commission will give you the details. I will personally be in Rachtura village and Mama will be in Tungamo, Irenga, to take part in the verification of our respective NRM village registers. I will, however, not line behind any candidate for election because as chairman of NRM, I welcome any choice of our members. I cannot and should not therefore take sides. Signed, Yori K. Museveni.
Something came to my mind, Judy.
Yes, please.
If we are talking about 72,000 villages in this
yes.
country, now we are electing NRM chairpersons. Already those are 72,000 votes. Now plus the executive. How many members sit on the executive? If in each of these 72 villages, you look at about 8 people, now that is 72,000. And remember, in those there are 8 people. If people understand multi-party democracy, how many votes already are those that the NRM candidate will have for 2026? Just came to my mind, I don't know why. I'm like,
Is that the Chibaro, as our president always puts it?
Clear. Clear, Chibaro.
Well, now let's move on to matters World Press Freedom Day, and in particular looking at the Press Index report that was released on Friday, May 2024, that is 2nd May 2024, as we looked forward to commemorating World Press Freedom Day, which was on Saturday, 3rd May 2024. Now, the Press Index report had details that and statistics that I'm going to read for you as follows, and it was the 6th edition of this particular Press Freedom Index report, and 110 cases in 2024 of press freedom violation were noted. Its title this year, 2024 rather, was One Step Forward, Two Steps Backward, a slippery media landscape. Now, of the 110 cases, 25 cases were for assaulting journalists, and 7 journalists were arrested. 5 journalists were charged with various work-related offenses. 5 journalists were threatened. 2 journalists were forced to delete images from their cameras. Now, security forces were blamed for violation and are the worst violators as stated by the report. And police in itself committed 38 crimes against journalists. The Anti-Terrorism Agency, JAT, committed 13 crimes, and the military police committed 18 crimes. Now, most journalists were TV journalists, accounting for 50% of the number, and radio journalists accounted for 27.2%, and then the rest being print and online journalists. Now, globally, Uganda ranks 133rd out of 180 countries. And in the East African region, Uganda, Ethiopia, and Rwanda have all entered the very serious category, indicating a significant concern for press freedom in these countries. Now, in the year 2023, Uganda still was the 133rd out of 180 countries, but in the year 2022, Uganda was the 132nd country out of 180 countries. Now, before I go any further, let me remind you that you can be a part of what we are going to discuss by sending your WhatsApp message to 0709-602-592 and share your opinion. What we are looking at, the state of the press freedom in Uganda and reflections on the road ahead. Good morning. And clearly, the best person I could have this conversation with is none other than Robert, who has been in the field for a couple of years, longer than I have. So he has deeper insight and more and intense insight when it comes to reporting, especially in the more sensitive areas like elections, protests, and all that is being reported as intense. Robert, once again, good morning.
Good morning.
With that report, let's just look at the definition of what the Press Freedom Index is.
Well, briefly and in simple terms, this is what looks at how various countries are upholding the rights of journalists, creating an environment that allows them to perfect and carry on their work without intimidation, without any form of oppression as the fourth estate. Yes.
Interesting. And that would, a lot has gone on. I mean, in March alone, March 13th, when the Kawempe by-election that we clearly reported and brought to you as the events unfolded here on Good Morning Uganda and UBC, we saw a lot happening. Journalists were beaten, and really, the picture that came out was whoever was in a jacket, a press jacket, was at risk. The best way to survive in the field at that particular moment was not wearing your press jacket. And indeed, a lot was painted, a lot was said. But let's start with the statistics. 2022, Uganda was 132nd. 2023, Uganda was 133rd. 2024, Uganda was 133rd, maintaining position. What do you think are the key factors rising in its position and maintaining in the past 2 years?
Well, first I must say that when we say moving one step forward,
two steps backward.
Press freedom in this country has gone through a lot. Before we began the journalism profession so many years, we didn't have that press freedom that you're talking about.
What did we have then?
I'm told that, for example, before the NRM government, many the previous governments, of course, because it has stayed around for some time, many of people and many of us never have not seen any other government apart from NRM. But you have our seniors, the likes of Tony Geoffrey Wana, who you meet around, and they tell you stories. Sometimes you're complaining, and then they'll tell you, Chirabo, you people, you found things better. But we are told those days it was worse. Now, when the NRM government came in 1986, as it was so focusing on upholding human rights and what Ugandans had gone through, press freedom shot up. And they were doing very well. I think we began losing it when it came to 2011, where we saw now Kizza Besigye bringing the walk to work. And for any journalist who covered walk to work, Kizza Besigye 2011, that breed of journalists, fear them when you meet them. Because I want to tell you, much as we've had complications, I have never in my career, apart from Kawempe, in my career experienced a tough time as 2011. Because when Kizza Besigye would say, I'm going to walk, he meant what he said and he would do it. And those days before, police and security woke up and brought in what we call preventive arrest. Yeah, they would keep him at his home and guard him strictly not to move. But it was a very trying moment. Now,
if I should ask based on experience, why do you think it got tougher then, and yet he had contested in 2006, he had contested in 2001? Why then, after the two times?
Now, after Besigye losing it, he began defiance.
Yes, yes.
He began looking for all ways to express his dissatisfaction. And these would, of course, his surfacing would cause riots. Now, the situation by then, first I want to say there's also been a shift in security in how they're handling journalists. When you hear some of us who have been in the field for a longer time talking about the late Samuel Mara, talking about the likes of Grace Tuliagumanawe, talking about the likes of Edward Ochom. Now, these were police commanders. Edward Ochom, I think, was a police commander for Kampala Metropolitan. Grace Tuliagumanawe at one time headed operations. So these were people whose approach then was very humane. How they would handle situations. They were sometimes even comical, you know, you would laugh and all that. They would tell you. But when these rampant incidents happened, I think they noticed that now we need to bring out a tougher approach. And I want to say this also was worsened by the arrival of social media. You know, when social media came, I'll talk about TikTok. Facebook was there, but Ugandans were not that yet very, very much into it. Now, there came an element of exposure and shame. In our early days of journalism, we weren't so much in exposure and shame. Actually, we had more of reaching out to authorities and report someone who has done wrong. And in police, I want to commend the people by then. They would take action. Now, there came a time that these men in uniform, whatever they would do, they were sure it is going to be all over social media. And in them, they came threat to protect what they have done, not to be brought out on social media. And also, that connection that was there somehow was broken. The like of the people I'm talking about, the likes of Edward Ochoma, Soroweni, Andrew Soroweni, Grace Tuliagumanawe, I think also Hassan Kasinje, you know, there was a way they would handle situations. The late Kawesi, I think there's even a clip that is moving around where saying them, why did you fire tear gas? Was it necessary? Now, I don't know what happened. I want to talk about the breed that came in later. Very youthful, forgive me to say, a bit arrogant, young, full of vigor. And their approach changed a bit. Now, their approach changing also changed with the arrival of social media. That where someone would do something or treat a journalist in another way, and you can go to Sorowena and say, this person, and they will take action at their commander level. I don't know if it was maturity or what. They will take action against those people. Now, there came a time when people would do things in bring law and order, and the powers then would not respond. Now, even the journalists knew that our Savior is pushing you out there for the world to know who you are. And it got worse with the politics.
You actually talk about social media, and one of the things that came with the social media trend is the fact that all of us now are reporters.
Yes.
Whether professional, whether we've gone to school for it, for some reason, all of us are able to use our phones. And there's a lot of propaganda, right or wrong, or, you know, a lot going on.
And let me tell you,
yes.
In these scenarios we're talking about, where I've seen journalists, this is what happens. I may go to the field and get a clip. I know I can't run it on traditional or media, the fourth estate, the print, the electronic. So this is what these, because when you look at some of these clips, they're professionally gotten. You know, it's easy to know a clip that's been gotten by anybody with a smartphone and that gotten by a professional journalist. But they will find ways to give it to maybe a very, what do you call them, influencers? Something.
Yes, influencers.
Yeah?
Social media influencers.
So you see this person on their platform having a clip, but it's not their clip. Then circulate it. Now, believe you me, people do not want to be exposed when they do things that are not right.
And allow me now interject in there, like you've painted the picture, the social media trend is on. We are all journalists, whether we know how to do it professionally, as long as we have a phone in our hands, we're able to film something and talk about it based on how subjective we are feeling about it. And then, of course, there's the new trend of police officers and those in powerful positions of influence that you've addressed. Now, how can these two meet? How can they find a middle ground? What can be done to improve the status as it is of journalism? Because what we see is, while social media is a powerful tool, any word can go out there and it will change the narrative of whatever is going on. The police right now are doing it differently from what you experienced in the years of 2011, the Andrew Sorowens who were there, the late Kawesas who were there.
Honorable Minister Judith Nabakoba, when she was the spokesperson of police there, I remember very well, she knew, we were quite many, but
from what you're saying, it looks like the journalists and the police had a certain degree of respect for each other. They disagreed on many things, but they had a place of respecting each other's field. What changed and what can be done now?
First, the security forces, police, must be taught on the role of journalists. That is one thing for the security agencies. I've seen many, even senior commanders in police, who are not aware of the role of journalists. And I want to take this opportunity to just remind them that these journalists one time are the people who are going to save you. In my career, I've said this. One time, one of the prominent opposition figures, I was just next to him in a heated situation. He was fired a rubber bullet on his finger, one of his fingers. And no one could tell what exactly had happened. But I had been identified that I'm the one just next to him. And it was all a bullet. But when he was hit, I had my recorder. It was Amaran's. In his voice, he said, I've been hit with a rubber bullet. It is not a bullet. It is a rubber bullet. Remember, we used not to pause. You keep on recording because anything can happen. So when you go back, you edit and pick those critical moments. Now I heard him say that, and I knew I had it on my recorder. He was telling his next. There was panic. This person has been hit. So one senior police officer asked me, you've been next. What is exactly has happened? And brief this person. I played the recorder. Told them, you hear it seems saying given. And that is how it all went. There was a time when Robert Chag, when they suspected one of his teammates had launched an attack or thrown something, it is the media that brought it out properly. That no, it was fired from this direction, it came like this. Now, you'll be an operation, my brother, where you need a clip or evidence to prove that actually that wasn't committed.
So in your case, you actually saved
the only people who will have that evidence and properly have it.
It's a journalist.
It's a journalist who will feel pity and say, but here is evidence. Then also at a time there will be the voice for you. We should complement each other. Where things are not fine, so security agencies have to be educated and taken through thorough the role of the media.
Now, I understand there's a training for security, for police actually. There's a training going on for police, and it's in regards to preparing for the 2026 general elections. From what you've stated, I hope journalists, the journalists that have been invited to the training to tell the police a thing or two about how best the two parties work together.
Retired senior officers, they should come and tell them how come in your time.
Yeah, but what
how
do
did you
think,
handle?
Yes.
Now, that is for the security agencies.
Now let's talk about journalists. What are we doing wrong?
This may not go down the throats of many of my brothers and sisters, but I'm part of you. I was there. I'm still there. One, we should avoid partisan politics. We are at a time when getting information concerning you is not a hard thing because of our various social media platforms. That's why some of us are not very, very active even there. Some of the journalists have crossed boundaries. Some, and I want to say a few of them, they're using our profession to send messages, I'm coming, Inzija. Now, you're putting yourself in harm's way. You're already branded negative. You've gone to cover a story, but it is a political situation, but your side is well known. You may even be among the people, as these people have been coming, whom they have been briefed that this person is a problem. So you, as a journalist, you're supposed to tell a story, to report a story, not to be part of a story.
All right. And with that, the take home is both parties complement each other. So it's about time that both parties started working together, the security operatives, the police, the military police, and the journalists, the journalist fraternity started working together to tell Uganda the story that it deserves for a better Uganda. Let's close with your comments. Good morning. I'm Namai Sisiraji from Bale. According to the topic of the day, I think our journalists have gone beyond boundaries. But the truth is, let's ask ourselves, what had made them to go beyond their boundaries? This is from you. And one final one that is congratulating the LC1 local elections. I wish Ugandans well in voting for the local council one, though according to me, it would have been a ballot vote, not lining up. Such kind of votes are normally full of impunities. This is Kakama. George, thank you, George.
It must be contested.
I've participated in elections of queuing, and it's a lot of chaos. But Good Morning Uganda does continue. We have business, we have Tourism Express, we have the agenda, we have sports, so a lot more in store for you.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
We are coming to the climax of the vintage world. Thank you for being part of the journey. I bet you still want to even watch more of this, but we'll give you a homework of coming and visiting. Bring yourself and get to see what they have here. With me is a TV I can call it a TV with just the smallest screen, as small as this watch screen. But we are going to be now exploring the world of TVs, how they go to evolve in sizes. I bet what you are watching from is way different from these. Even getting to see what's in the background, there's just different versions of them. And we are still with Mr. Emmanuel, who is going to tell us how these worked and how they got to evolve along the way. Welcome on the Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express. My name is Zakia Lucky. Yes, Mr. Emmanuel, we are excited to have you again on the show. And regards to TV, we would like to know if you had one probably that inspired you to start storing these ones right from the smallest.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, viewers, for being with us from where we started till now. TV is very interesting because I'm sure everybody who grew up in the 80s and 90s has a story about what TV did to them. But like you said, even me, I was surprised when I found a TV that has an 1-inch screen as big as your smartphone, I mean smartwatch.
Yeah.
But this is a portable device that uses 8 batteries, dry cells.
Okay.
And you would actually load them in there and connect it onto a system, and you're able to watch news while you're on safari. So you never missed out on a few things. But I think the innovators wanted to see how you can move, but also continue connected on such systems. Because the first television sets that we had were also fixed like the phones we did. They were fixed inside the house and such kind of thing. But they innovated and said, how do we have people enjoy entertainment on the move? Whereas this is 1 inch, this is another 4-inch TV. Very basic, like you can see. I like the buttons. The sound they make while you're tuning it. It's as if you're switching on something. And the on and off, everything was so nice the way it was designed. The engineering here was so superb. But this still is a mobile TV set,
Okay.
Which dates back into the 70s, black and white. Whereas this is black and white, actually this is a colored television set. So you would see a picture, a colored picture of this kind of small TV.
Okay.
Interesting. The other thing that we have an assortment of TVs in the background. We have those that date back into the 70s and 80s. But one of the stories I remember, you asked me whether we had TV in our home. No, we didn't have one. We had to walk distances. My first time to watch TV, we had to walk a distance of over 12 kilometers from the home where I stayed. For those who are well versed with our villages, I walked. My father drove us from Mitiana and went to our uncles in Kachindu, miles away. And remember that time in the 80s, TV was only it was telecast in particular times. You didn't have the luxury of watching TV from morning to evening or even overnight. It was only between specific periods of time. So we had to, after lunch, it was on a Sunday, after lunch we had to drive, go to our uncle's place, sat down on a mat obviously, and then we were able to see those people behind a gadget doing their thing. Curiosity, killed a rat. So I wanted to know who was behind there in that big box doing all the games. But unfortunately, because of time, we had to drive back home, so I didn't have the opportunity to go behind and check and see, because I thought behind there was someone who was seated inside that box and they were addressing us. Very interesting. But when you discuss with our peers, they will tell you for them, they had to first, for you to watch TV, you had to first shower.
Okay.
TV, those were the words. Then you see everybody dashing to the bathroom, and then you come wait, sit on the mat and wait to see this person behind this television. So television growing up was a very interesting thing. But I like the people around this generation, because nearly every household has a smart TV somewhere, or a TV of sorts. And the other interesting bit about those big TVs that have bumps, sometimes in the middle of watching something, the TV would go off. So you'd see your parent going behind and tapping it, and after tapping it like this, you see the pictures coming back. Very interesting. I don't know what kind of magic they had in their hands, but the tap usually did something to bring back a picture that you are watching. Very interesting story.
I think I have experienced that one. I have hit a TV back. Yes, so how did this operate? Did you have to put, I don't know, a CD somewhere, but then it's too tiny for a CD? There was no memory card, I bet, to put in here. How were they able to watch?
Now, you will notice that these were analog TVs, that you had, first of all, today we have satellite dishes connected because we are receiving a signal from a satellite somewhere. Now, back then, there were analog masts that you used to relay information. So you had to put a very long aerial outside your house to tap it into the behind so that you can receive that kind of signal. And the interesting bit about it, so that you will have to be two people, one inside and the other one outside, so that they can help you turn the aerial to a position where you'll be able to receive a clear signal. I don't know whether you remember that around Mbiko, as you're going to Jinja, every household had a very long area like this. Why? Because they are like lying low in terms of altitude, so they couldn't receive a signal. That's why they had, every household had to receive that. But these TVs were also good in a way that these were portable, so you also carry it, but there were those bigger ones like the one you see that were seated in a sitting room. Now, in order for you to get entertainment outside what is telecast by the then UBC, you had to have a video deck. So that video deck had movies recorded on or other programs pre-recorded, and then you push it into a deck, press a button, and then you'll be able to watch your favorite movie or program or something like that. Yes.
And what were these buttons for?
These were the different buttons. For example, there was the UHF kind of channel and the VHF.
Okay.
So you would, like, as you're tuning, turn them like this. You keep on tuning. Then when you see the picture is clear, then that's where you would stop. There were different channels. There was channel 10, channel 20, channel what, and then those are the channels within which you'd locate the button, and then you're able to like tune it to get a clearer picture. I remember the satellite in Mpoma did a lot of things. There was Butevo, where people would receive signal from Butevo, even in Mwizi in western Uganda was, and then there's another one in Arua. So there were different stations, base stations, that would relay pictures to people who had the luxury to have TVs in the old days. Yeah.
Wow, that's been interesting. If only they could take us back in the days. You talked about watching a TV, you had to first shower. That was quite a very good, experience and also motivation for the young ones to shower. Well, it's been quite a very good journey taking us to the vintage world. I bet we have learned so much about it. Feel free to share what you think about this in the comments section on our social media platforms. You can check out on UBC and also get to visit Brim's Heritage Research Center, get to meet Mr. Emmanuel to give you all this information and you get to see for yourself. Please give your closing remarks to the viewers.
Thank you very much. I want to thank UBC TV for this opportunity. Because if probably you didn't come, the population out there wouldn't know the kind of heritage we are preserving. I also want to appeal to the population to not just waste everything. Everything is not waste. There is value in what you call waste. And for those who have such items and they think they no longer want to use them, feel free to donate them to us so that we can preserve them and make good use of them. Because we know that your great-grandchildren will come to learn about these items, and probably if we didn't preserve them, then they wouldn't have something to learn from. For more information, you can always contact us on our socials at Brim's Heritage on all social media. Thank you.
Welcome back from GMU Tourism Express. I never slapped a TV for sure, but at least I remember having to watch TV up to a certain time, especially UTV at that time where there's those colored lines that show you that TV was off until the following day. Oh, how far we have come, and all in the 21st century where we have smart TVs even on our phones. It's time for GMU Business. My name is Julie Nantaba Mosisi, and we're starting off with a story regarding infrastructure unions, and the infrastructure union has emphasized its commitment to supporting workers through employer-led competence training. Now, this initiative equips employees with practical skills to enhance productivity and employability. Over 80 employees from Steel and Tube Company graduated with the DIT Workers PAS Uganda certificate, marking a notable achievement in the realm of worker empowerment and skills development. Now, leaders of the infrastructure union reaffirmed their commitment to supporting workers through workplace training, emphasizing the importance of employer-led competence. The union's General Secretary, Wanzusi Robert, was applauded for initiating a directive of industrial training's practical acquired skills PAS Uganda Assessment Project. This pioneering project provides industrial employees with hands-on training, equipping them with practical skills. Now, over 80 employees from Steel and Tube Company graduated with the DIT Workers PAS Uganda certificate after a rigorous assessment. And Assistant Commissioner Apollo Ozoma from the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development says this initiative is a significant milestone in promoting workplace skills development and worker empowerment. Now, a little later on the show, we shall be engaging in a conversation on the welfare of workers, so that is one to stick around for and look forward to. But let's move over to Hollywood, where President Trump said that he will hit movies made in foreign countries with 100% tariffs as he ramps up trade disputes with nations around the world. Trump said he was authorizing the U.S. trade representative to start the process to impose the levy because America's movie industry was dying a very fast death. He blamed a concerted effort by other countries that offer incentives to attract filmmakers and studios, which he described as a national security threat. It is an addition to everything else, messaging and propaganda, Trump said on his Truth Social platform. We want movies made in America again. Since returning to the White House in January, Trump has imposed tariffs on countries around the world. He argues tariffs will boost U.S. manufacturers and protect jobs, but the global economy has been thrown into chaos as a result, and prices on goods around the world are expected to rise. Ahead of his inauguration, Trump appointed 3 film stars, Jon Voight, Mel Gibson, and Sylvester Stallone, to be special ambassadors tasked with promoting business opportunities in Hollywood, which he described as a great but very troubled place. They will serve as special envoys to me for the purpose of bringing Hollywood, which has lost much business over the last 4 years, to the foreign countries back bigger, better, and stronger than ever before, Trump wrote at the time. Now, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick responded to the latest announcement, saying, "We're on it." The U.S. remains a major film production hub globally, despite challenges, according to the movie industry research firm Prod Pro. Now, let's take a look at the forex rates as of 30th April 2025. And by then, the US dollar opened at 3,660.64 buying and sold at 3,670.64. By midday, it was buying at 3,660.00, dropped value there, and was selling at 3,670.00, and it closed in at 3,658.36, dropped tremendous value there, and was selling at 3,668.36. The British pound was buying at 4,895.98 and selling at 4,909.37. The euro was buying at 4,159.19 and selling at 4,170.56. and the Kenyan shilling was buying at 28.30 and selling at 28.38, and the Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.36 and selling at 1.36 still, and the South African rand was buying at 197.03 and selling at 197.56. Well, that's it from GMU Business. Up next is the agenda, and like I've mentioned, we are talking about the welfare of workers and, more importantly, the minimum wage conversation, as the president pledged to awaken it during the Labor Day celebration. So stick around. Good morning, Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
In all these years, we emphasize 2 words, wealth and jobs, and we try to waken our people up to show them where wealth and jobs come from.
The Parish Development Model, PDM, is a bold initiative that is reshaping Uganda's rural economy. By allocating 100 million shillings to each parish annually, PDM empowers households by unlocking opportunities for wealth creation.
This program will be maintained. Each year we send 100 million for the parish. If you get the 1 million, you can buy some goats, you can buy some pigs, you can buy even young cows.
Farmers are transitioning from subsistence farming to commercial agriculture, laying the groundwork for wealth creation and improved livelihoods.
This project started 11 years ago after an inspiration from His Excellency. And that time I was working as a taxi driver. I was doing that Massa business in Soroti, and he was talking about how to improve household income.
With the PDM, you bring back the money after 24 months, but in the 3rd year, you would get another 100 million paid back by those who got first.
The President's message is a mindset changer. Becoming rich does not mean you should have a lot of land, you should have a lot of education, you just need a vision. and implement and start from where you are.
So therefore, this PDM is to get all of you out of poverty. That's why we said 100 million per parish per year.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
The circle started 5 years back with 15 members who were part of the executive, and we managed to use the same 15 members to mobilize the youth and come in to make the 16 associations. So each member took a thought of gathering, mobilizing the 15 people to make associations. So the circle was established. We happened to have 229 members that qualified for 30 millions, which we got in 2021. We used the 30 millions from the presidential initiative to buy the 6 motorcycles, which was a small number to benefit the 229 members, but we managed to use it. The 6 border helped us to go under saving culture. We managed to group our members into 15-15 for saving culture. So the saving culture is 15 groups. They could get 12,000 per day, which 12,000 at the end of the month manages to buy 1 motorcycle. That 1 motorcycle is shared among the 15, so they vote who to take it. The 15 kept on until the 15 months. Every member had to get 1 motorcycle with saving culture. As I say, we managed to get 84 motorcycles from today's report. On daily, a rider, you move Kawempe, Nakawaru, Makinde, you Kampala Metropolitan, and at the end of the day, you have 50,000. That one, we call it average day. There is a time you make 100, that is, we call it the golden day. So most of our members came without anything to use or to support their family. So we helped them by giving them the border as one of the job opportunity the circle is offering to the community.
Tuso kwebaza President Museveni olw'enkola eno gyatutereddewo otukulaakulanya nga najja wano mu ssaka eno nga sirina piki era ndi omu ku bammemba abaasooka okufuna no piki. Kati abavubuka abali bateesobola kugula piki wano kibakyama kuba ogula buguzi migabo $5,000 ng'ofuna piki ng'otandika obulamu. Ate ku layisi tuli bangi kuba omuntu tolina $5 million zigula mpya 5 kitundu. Oba oguza emigabo ate nga gijjo n'otandikira okwo tolaba nti oba ofunyemu. Abantu abali batalina mirimu bagifuna. Wawo guno mulimu nno gwennyini tugufunyemu singa simaanyi ga mulimu guno kitegeeza nandibadde sikola ki sina ngeri kigenyiza bikwasaganya abaana basoma era muki okulya byonna bakwesanyusaamu era kiki era ngutwala ng'ensonga enkulu kubanga ufunamu gubinkolera goge mazima gubinkolera ddala bulungi mukadde tajjula maama gwe nninawe yekka oba oli awo akasimu ate kino bakiri mugira nga noteekayo n'omusingi ate kino egamba tosobola kulwamu ki sente.
Ebyenfuna byange byali bibi ddala naye mu bbanga ery'emyezi omwenda wenfunidde ppiki aye obulamu bwakyukira ddala kubanga siganye nakati nkyapangisa naye luli eri nga landirodyako netutandika nga odduka nosanga nga basiirinze nawo naye kati nsobola omusasula nina omukyala n'abaana bendabirira nsobola okubaliisa bulungi nnyo nga embeera etambula era njagala okwebaza omukulembeze w'eggwanga tujjukira nga ffe abavubuka n'atuleetera pulojekiti eno ey'emyoga kuba ne mami wange saazina neenyumirizaamu kuba akubira akasimu n'omuweerezaayo omutwalo oba ebiri kuba oba ozirina njagala otwala omukisa guno okwebaza omukulembeze